If you want to get started in investing in real estate, today I'm going to tell you which property to buy first. Hello there, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you're all having an incredible day. If you don't know, my name is Aram. I'm a real estate agent here in the Chicagoland area. And today we are talking about real estate investing and how to take your first step, and more importantly, what property you should buy first. And when I say property, I mean like asset class. Should be single family, a condo, a multifamily, because depending on your set of circumstances, the answer is different. There is no one general answer for everybody. So in this video, I'm gonna break down different set of circumstances and give you advice based on that situation. And if you enjoyed the video, do me the greatest honor, let me know by liking the video. Leave a comment in the comment section below wherever you're watching this. And if you're watching on YouTube, please subscribe. If you're watching on Instagram, I hope you're already following. If you're not, go ahead and follow and share with all your friends so we can help them out as well. That being said, let's get down to the topic at hand. When it comes down to buying your first investment property, it's important to understand the methods that you could use to buy it. And there's really only three. You can use cold hard cash. It doesn't have to be your cash, but you do need money to buy real estate. What you heard about, no money down, all that stuff is great, but it's not realistic. So you need money to buy real estate. It just doesn't need to be yours. So you could buy it with cash, financing through banks, or you could do what's called seller financing. Now, seller financing is very difficult to come by, so we are not going to talk about that. We're only going to be talking about cash and then financing. And then ultimately, if you're just getting started investing in real estate, guess what you don't have a lot of? Cash. So we'll be going over the financing routes, and then based on the amount of cash you have, we do need a little bit to get started. I will give you advice on what direction to go with. So when talking about financing, it's important to note that the differences between the loan requirements, the down payments, and all the other options between a primary residence and an investment property are very, very different. So this leads me to, if you're currently renting or living at home, currently don't have a primary residence that you own, first purchase should be a primary residence for yourself. Reason being is you need significantly less down. You only have to live there for 1 year and you could turn it right into an investment property. The interest rate is gonna be much lower, so if it's gonna be a rental property for say 10, 15 years, you need a lower interest rate. That's really what's gonna pay you down the line as you're building equity and getting appreciation, right? And when you're looking at an investment property as an investor, now you have to put 20% down to start, right? And when you're just getting into investing in real estate, you might not have 20%. And oftentimes, locking up 20% of your cash, like 20% down on a house, it's gonna lock up a lot of your cash, which is gonna basically hinder your success and basically increase the time it takes for you to make some serious money. So the point of this video is to maximize whatever amount of money you have. So if you don't currently own a primary residence, for the love of all is good in this world, find yourself a real estate agent. If you're in Chicago, call me and have them help you find a primary residence with the notion that you are intending to rent this out within a year, right? It's very important that when you're buying like this, that you don't necessarily buy what your dream house is, you buy what's going to be a great rental, which means you don't need to go too expensive. You need to keep it in decent locations and make sure that area is a rentable area where the rents are good and you can always get tenants in and out and will have no vacancy, right? So keep that in mind when you're making your purchasing decision. That being said, let's divide up the different type of properties and talk about who's best suited for what. And we're going to start with condos because, well, to be honest, that's what I bought first. So a condo is perfect for somebody who, number one, is worried about their overhead. So you need to keep your overhead low, because we're looking at a condo, at least in my market, a good rental condo is between $90,000 to $150,000. The payment on something like that is about $900 to $1,200. So for example, if you make $4,000 a month, you don't want to go and get a very expensive single family home for a year, especially if it's going to be your primary residence, because you may not be able to afford that mortgage long enough until before you can rent it, right? So you got to look at your budget, look at your income, and see what's best suited for you. So if your income does not allow you to take a lot of risk, you can't carry over those costs, then it is not the best decision to go buy a single family for $300,000 if you can't afford that payment every single month comfortably, right? So you buy condo to keep the overhead low. You also want to buy a condo if you don't want to be doing a lot of managing, if you don't want a lot of headaches, right? Here's why I purchased a condo personally. I don't have the time to manage a property. For example, like if it's a single family home, I don't have the time to be worried about the landscaping, the snow, the roof, or any of that stuff. I just don't have the time, nor do I have the patience, nor do I want to spend the money to fix these things. So for me, the best property to purchase was a condo, which is what I bought. So basically, if you don't have a lot of free time, if you don't have a lot of money coming in on a monthly basis to support a higher payment, and you want basically low overhead, low maintenance, basically easy to maintain and manage, go with condo. Now, moving on to single family. Obviously, since a primary residence, I know a lot of people do like living in single family homes, and they do rent very, very well. But one thing to keep in mind, in my opinion, single family homes are best to flip, not necessarily to buy and hold. The reason for it is because it's one door, one roof, right? Versus a multifamily could be 2, 3, 4 doors, one roof and one foundation, right? So if you have 4 independent single family homes, that's 4 foundations, that's 4 roofs, and that's only 4 units. Versus if you have like a 4-unit building, that's 1 roof, 1 foundation, 1 plumbing to worry about, but still 4 doors, right? So you have to consider that. If your plan is not to flip it, then you may not want to be buying a single family as your very first property. However, if you're kind of handy and you can do a lot of work on your own, you could probably outbid a lot of investors on single family homes just by finding a property that is outdated, that you could come in and put some sweat equity into, and within a year, you can flip it for a little bit of a profit and move on, right? Or you could rent it if you like and then eventually sell it, whatever floats your boat. So that's what's best for single family. Next up is the infamous 3.5% FHA loan on multifamily property. This by far is, depending on your case, one of the best ways to get started. Now, contrary to popular belief, it is actually less of an upfront cost to buy, say, a $400,000 multifamily building than it is to buy a $150,000 condo. The reason being is you are putting 5% down on a conventional loan on a condo versus 3.5%, and the closing costs upfront are going to be more on a condo than they are going to be on a multifamily building because of the higher tax proration you're going to get as a credit. We're getting into the details, but just know it's more of an upfront cost to buy a condo than it is to buy a multifamily property. However, it costs a lot more on a monthly basis, on a maintenance and management basis, to own a multifamily building. Allow me to explain. Let's say you buy a 4-unit for $500,000. You put 3.5% down. Somebody do the math, and the math will be right here, actually. We will do the math for you. We'll put it right here. So let's say you buy a $500,000 4-unit building, and you live in one unit, you rent out the other ones. However, one mistake that people don't talk about is what happens when you have vacancy? What happens when things break? What happens when you need a new roof, new foundation, new plumbing? You have 4 furnaces oftentimes to worry about, right? There's still a lot of things that you need to take care of. So it's very important that if all you have is, say, $20,000, right, and it's going to cost you to buy the building, do not put everything you have into buying a multifamily building, because where you're going to make most of your profit is 5 years down the road. And if you can't afford to own that property for 5 years, for example, if you have vacancy and your monthly income does not allow you to make any repairs or cover the vacancy, which means you now have to sell in like 9 months because you can't afford the $3,000 monthly payment, even though rent it out, it's really only costing you $1,000 a month, you have to be prepared for all outcomes. Because real estate's only an asset if you buy it below market or hold it long enough to build equity and appreciation. So that's one thing to note about the multifamilies. I think this is great for somebody who has a good nest egg saved up, maybe anywhere from minimum $30,000 upwards to $80,000 to get started. Your very first property, if you don't already have one, take advantage of the FHA loan and get yourself a multifamily property, because the interest rate on FHA is also significantly lower. So if it's a long-term buy and hold, you want as many units under one roof and one foundation as possible, but it's important to make sure it's something you can afford. So when I get a client that's making $50,000 a year and wants to buy a multifamily, these are some things I have to talk to them about. Versus somebody who makes over $100,000 a year and can easily afford to carry over those expenses, then this would be the best option for them. Versus someone making $3,000 a month, I would say if you want to start investing, let's get you a condo for yourself first, because you got to live somewhere, so why not pay yourself rent and then go from there. That way you are not putting yourself in any bad position. Ultimately, that should be your first purchase. Now, once you get your hands on some serious cash, let's say minimum $60,000, that's when you could do some damage by using a hard money loan to basically fund the rehab and the down payment and do some flips to build your capital and then eventually use that money to build your portfolio. However, one step at a time. So start with the low barrier to entry loans here, so which is a primary residence loan. You could get that every single year if you want. Some people don't want to move every single year. I completely understand, but those are the options. So I hope this video was helpful. I try to get as much, but also a very general idea for you. And then in later videos, we will dive into different details, different things to worry about, and how to find certain properties in certain markets. All right. That being said, like, comment, subscribe. I'll see you in the next video.